Welcome to another exciting episode of My Mom Friend. Today I was so inspired to talk about what I keep in my pumping bag. I just got back from travel with my baby, and it just had me thinking, how I pack certain bags and what my routine looks like for each one, whether it be a diaper bag, pumping bag, her suitcase, whatever. And so specifically, I want to cover the pumping bag today. And this is stuff I always keep in here, whether I'm traveling or not. The bag I have, the brand is Mom More. I would not necessarily recommend this one, so I'm not going to go too into specific detail about this bag. And that's just because, the bag does the trick, but some of the lining on the inside is already ripping, and this little inner zipper pouch, the zipper has already stopped working on it. You can see it's just like loose, not working. So that happened within the first few months of owning the bag, and not super stoked on that. Also, I'm already in the market for a new one because I'd rather have a backpack style. I've learned that when I'm traveling with baby, anything that can go on my back is way easier than something that ends up getting heavy and hanging on my shoulder. So that being said, without further ado, what do I keep in my pumping bag? Well, of course, get this right out of the way. I keep my pump in here. So this bag's nice. It's not necessarily specifically for the Spectra, but it is one that works with the Spectra because the Spectra has this kind of unique shape. So my pump's in there, of course. Second most important thing right behind the pump is the cable. Now, right away, because I know myself, I bought an extra charging cable when I started pumping. And so I always keep one in the bag. And there's, always one floating around my house, my office, wherever. But if I ever use this one, I make sure to keep the pump in the bag while I'm charging it to remind me to put this one back in the bag. So I'm never out and about without a cord, because that has happened to me before where my pump died. I didn't have a way to recharge it, and it really sucked. This is important. I don't always have one in here because I'm usually wearing one, but I will always try to throw a pumping bra in there if I'm not wearing a pumping bra. So half the time maybe I keep a pumping bra in there just to be sure that I have one, because without that, it's very difficult to pump. Okay, so then when we look into the main compartment of my bag here, of course, we covered the pump and the cord. I try to keep this is a nursing cover. And this is the nice one by Munchkin. It's got silver sewn into the fabric, and it's naturally antimicrobial. So it's not completely sterile or whatever, but it fights off bacteria and germs. And so it's nice to use. If I ever have to pump in public, like typically on an airplane, I'll throw this over me. It's also nice to lay down on the table in front of you to give yourself a nice clean surface to work on. These are really multi-use. I also like to use it just earlier today. My baby took a nap on the plane laying on the seat, and I put this down just because it makes me feel nice to have it down. I've also seen people use them over shopping carts for germ prevention, if that's your thing, but it's just kind of always something nice to have. I have one in the diaper bag and one in my pumping bag. Next, we have my big bag of tricks here. So I just keep it all in a Ziploc just to keep it organized so I don't have a bunch of loose stuff in my bag. But what I keep in here is a Chucks pad. Again, I can lay it down for a nice clean surface. It's also nice that they're absorbent. I just use this mini puppy pad size. Because when you're taking your flange off your bottle and if you're putting milk into bags and stuff, there's some leakage happening. It's nice to just have a place to catch it all, especially if you're doing all that in your husband's Tesla and he's super protective of it. Okay, next in here, my bag of tricks, we have Dapple breast and bottle pumps. These are nice. They're just plant-based cleaner to get milk residue off. Really, really nice when you don't have access to water to rinse your pump parts out and you don't want to walk around just with residue in them, or before you pop them in the fridge, however you store them. So no need to rinse when you have these wipes. So I've used these when I've pumped on a plane because I'm not going to use the airplane sink water, or I was in Cabo and the water there is not necessarily drinkable in every area. So these were nice to have to wipe them out before I sterilize them. Also good for when I'm on the go and I only have 1 or 2 bottles with me and I'm pumping and putting more milk in those same bottles. Instead of having to pack a bunch of clean bottles, I can just wipe out the dirty ones with these. I've also used these, honestly, right on my boob, after I've gotten out of a pool, or you can watch my video on spray tanning. if I put my own lotions and stuff on, anything that may have touched, you know, like those hydrogel, healing pads, things like that you're supposed to rinse your boob before you breastfeed the baby. Sometimes if I don't have water and soap right there handy, I will just use one of these, because to me, if it's safe to wipe down her bottles without rinsing them and using these, then it's safe to use them right on me. Very important, collection bags, just for the record. In here, I have Medela. That's just because that's what my insurance covers through the VA. They send me Medela bags. The ones I actually prefer are, these are just Up and Up Target brand. The top comes off a lot easier. It just like pops right off instead of trying to rip it across. And they're just more flexible. They're not as stiff. And they just have a nice feel to them. I don't know. I like them. But anyways, I always have like at least 20 in here because I don't like to run low, because I will quickly run out. Another thing that's in my little bag of tricks is the Medela Quick Clean Micro Steam sterilizer bags. So these are meant to be used in the microwave. You can sterilize whatever fits in here. So pump parts, bottles, pacifiers, anything that's, you know, safe to basically expose to boiling water temperatures that you want to sterilize. I mean, Diva Cup, whatever. You need to do that on the go. You can use this up to 20 times, and each time you use it, you just mark it off on here to keep track. It takes up virtually no room at all, and you can sterilize on the go anywhere at work. Like I mentioned, we were in Cabo and the water was questionable, so I would rinse out or wipe down the bottles and pump parts with the Dapple wipes, and then use 2 ounces of filtered water into here, and then you pop it in the microwave for 90 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on your microwave wattage, and you have sterilized whatever you need to sterilize. A whole lot of paper towels in there, because you never know. And like I said, there's spills, there's messes, you got to wipe things down. And I always keep a slew of assorted Ziploc. So mostly gallon-sized bags. These are good for putting your milk storage bags in. They're good for putting your pump parts in. It's just nice to have them. And then I also have some sandwich and quart-sized ones in here as well for maybe spare parts, or like I said, you just never know. All right, now when we get into the smaller pockets of my bag, I always keep some backup pump parts. And what I mean by that is at least one backflow protector, okay? And at least one set of tubing, and then a bunch of duckbill valves right here. And I mark them as sterilized because I will forget if I ever sterilize these and not be sure if I want to use them, because I'm not, not positive. So I put that on there. I sterilized these, it looks like back in March. So if you don't understand what any of these parts are, that's totally okay. I have a video in the works of like pumping 101 and going through all the different parts of a pump and what all these little doodads are. But I always try to keep an extra set, especially because sometimes these things fall apart on me and they won't stay together. You never know if you're gonna leave some tubing behind or get a hole in it or something. And duckbill valves, when you're putting your pump parts back together, especially in a rush running out the door, sometimes I forget to put this on underneath, and the pump is useless without them, right? So I always just keep those extras with me. Continuing on to the small pockets here, I also keep some caps in there. So these fit on the collection bottles. So when I'm done pumping, if I don't want to transfer them to a bottle or a storage bag right away, sometimes it's easier to just pop the flange off and put a cap on, like especially if we're in the car or something, I'm a passenger pumping princess. I'll just pop these on and then transfer it whenever we get where we're going. And I keep some stuff for sanitizing and cleaning. So I always have a hand sanitizer in here. I use this before I put my flanges on, and especially before I'm transferring milk to a storage container, just to keep it all clean. And this is hypochlorous acid. So it is completely baby safe, and it's a disinfectant. It's really just salt water that's ionized. I think that's what it is, something sciencey like that, but it's just like salt and water. The most popular brand is Force of Nature, and it's marketed as like completely baby safe for like high chairs and play areas and, whatever, baby toys. I keep a little thing of it in here to, spray down an area before I pump. When I'm traveling, I use this to spray down the baby's toys and teethers and stuff, like when we're, getting off the airplane, or I use it to spray down the airplane tray. It's just like so nice to have it with me, and it doesn't really have a smell to it, so it's not super obnoxious for people around us. And then I like to keep a few little self-care things in here. So I always have some electrolyte mix. Early on in my pumping and breastfeeding, I found that I didn't need like all these crazy like lactation cookies and stuff. Honestly, good old fashioned electrolytes. If I drink like at least 1 or 2 liquid IVs a day, I felt like my production was better over a few days of doing that. Because hydration is key. Always keep a chapstick because I'm a woman and we like to always have chapstick on us. Hand lotion, because again, why not? It's just something nice to have for yourself, especially if you're using a lot of hand sanitizer and getting dried out. I keep breast pads in here just, I don't know, out of habit or precaution. I almost have never used these. I've never had issues with leaking. But it's nice to have them just for like a quick cleanup, or like if I'm rushing from pumping to like going to a meeting or something and I want to make sure I'm not going to like leak through my bra. I always like to keep a couple of these on me. And last but not least, but incredibly important, is a Sharpie. So you can mark your collection bags right when you pump, so you know what's in there, just to streamline the whole process. So I hope you found that helpful. Just a quick little video on what I keep in my pumping bag. Like I said, I don't necessarily recommend this brand, but if you are looking for a pumping bag, if you travel a lot, I would definitely consider getting a backpack style one. Most of them have some insulated cooler type compartments. Like this one has 3 of these cooler type compartments, if that's important to you, that you're going to be storing cold milk on the go. Something else that's been really helpful for travel is getting a bag that has this strap on it. What that does is it helps it to just go right over the handle of my Checked carry-on, like hard-sided luggage. It just hangs on there like that, so it makes it all like one piece, so I don't have to hold this on my shoulder. And this bag also has a compartment, a zipper on both sides that allows you to pump by keeping your pump in the bag and just the tubing coming out through this hole, which is also convenient, but I've never used this feature. I prefer to just have access to the whole pump right in here and let the tubes come out the top. I've never used these side compartments, but if discreet pumping is something that you're looking for, then you want to make sure you find something like this that allows you to do that. If you have any questions or suggestions or anything like that, drop them in the comments, and thank you again for watching.